Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Jerry Tope.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we present news we hope you find interesting and report on local issues and events. Call us with your news tips or topics you'd like to see covered at 970-677-4119.
We appreciate you watching DCTV. Today's show is live Tuesday at noon and rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and re-aired on Friday at noon, 3 and 6.
Today is June 6th, 2017. Now here's the news.
According to the Durango Herald, a La Plata County man escaped a house fire with non-life-threatening injuries early Monday, said Upper Pine River Fire Protection District Chief Bruce Evans. A bystander reported the structure fire about 3 a.m. at 3342 County Road 223 between Durango and Bayfield. By the time emergency responders arrived, Evans said the house about 13 miles east of Durango off U.S. Highway 160 was 50% engulfed in flames. According to Evans, 2 people inside the house were awakened by a smoke detector. A man downstairs escaped without injuries. The injured man was later identified as 29-year-old A.J. Genge. Evans said the 2 men were renting the location from a property owner that lives in Maryland. The house was completely destroyed in the fire. Firefighters finished securing the scene around 7 a.m. Monday with help from Durango Fire Protection District and Los Pinos Fire Protection District. About 20 firefighters responded to the scene. Crews were able to prevent the fire from spreading to the nearby forest and neighborhood. The cause of the fire was ruled as careless use of smoking material, Evans said. An investigation concluded Genge had failed to properly put out a cigarette he was smoking on the back porch around 10:30 p.m. on Sunday. The burning embers, known as the cherry of the cigarette, fell under the back deck and into an area of cut wood, sawdust, and other kindling debris. There, it smoldered for nearly 4 hours until a gust of wind likely sparked a full-on fire. Evans said the injured man was taken to Mercy Regional Medical Center's intensive care unit. A GoFundMe page listed A.J. Genge as the man injured in the fire. His mother, Marty, said her 29-year-old son had just changed the battery to the smoke alarm a week ago. She said her son initially escaped the house but re-entered 2 times, once to retrieve his dog, Caddy, and a second time to get his phone. On the second re-entry, Genge sustained burns and smoke inhalation. She said the family moved to Durango 2 years ago from Arkansas, and A.J. Genge now works in information technology for Open Sky Wilderness Therapy.
From the Cortez Journal, the Cortez Farmers Market had perfect weather for its opening day Saturday. Several dozen local vendors set up shop on Main Street amid sunny skies, temperatures in the 80s. Visitors and their families, including several parents and small children, wandered between booths where they were selling produce, pastries, and pressed flowers, among other locally produced goods. Folk singer Marilyn Croker provided a relaxed soundtrack for the morning, and Cortez Library staff hosted a story time for the children. Market manager Teresa Titone said about 250 people visited between 7:30 and 10:30 a.m., typical for the first day. She noted that vendors brought more fresh produce than usual for the first day of the market. Some booths, like the one for the Tierra Madre Herb Farm, were busy and covered with greenery to the end of the session. Other vendors weren't quite as successful. Ava DeGreff from Miller Farms near Mancos opened a booth at the market for the first time on Saturday. She sold some herbs and handmade jewelry, but she said the farm's primary crop, apples, had mostly been killed by the late frost this spring. Tim Stubbs, co-owner of the Pie Maker Bakery, said this was his 5th year hosting a booth at the market. He was doing a brisk business throughout the morning on Saturday and gave some credit to the good weather. Both Miller Farms and the Pie Maker, like most vendors, will show up to the market every weekend this summer. Not all the vendors that signed up were present on Saturday. Titone said she expects a full roster by the end of June. The community booth will feature a rotating number of not-for-profit organizations and advocates. On Saturday, members of local historical preservation boards used the booth to advertise their goal of raising money to preserve the McElmo Creek flume. Linda Toll, president of the Cortez Historic Preservation Board, said they hope to raise more than $4,000 this summer. The market's live musicians will also change every week. Next Saturday, the performers will be local blues rock band, the Motones.
According to the Cortez Journal report, the Dolores School District is moving forward with a plan to provide health care as well as education to its students next year. In March, the district received a $25,000 planning grant from the Colorado Department of Health to design a school-based medical clinic. With the help of that money, they created a possible design for the clinic, which they presented in a public meeting last Thursday. Superintendent Scott Cooper hopes to get a revised version of the design approved by the school board soon so that he can use it in another grant application, this time to cover construction costs. The design Cooper and Flanagan showed to the handful of people who came to the meeting Thursday afternoon sketched out a remodel of the current Dolores High School building, converting classrooms and teachers' lounges into medical exam rooms. After much discussion, including input from several staff members at Southwest Open Schools Health Clinic, they decided it would be cheaper to build a new building adjacent to the school. Cooper, who has championed the idea of a school-based health clinic since January, said he still believes it would be worth the effort the district has put into it. Since the new clinic will essentially be a satellite of the one at SWOS, the Dolores district has hired the same architect to design it. Flanagan plans to create a design nearly identical to the existing SWOS clinic, which he'll present to the Dolores School Board on Wednesday. One new feature, which led to much discussion at Thursday's meeting, is the introduction of gender-neutral restrooms, something Flanagan said he had never been asked to do before. Cooper said that with more high school and elementary students coming out as transgender, he thought this would be a good way to accommodate all students' needs in the future, and mentioned that several newer buildings along the Front Range have taken a similar approach. Flanagan's design called for fully enclosed toilet cubicles and a shared sink area. The next draft of the clinic's design will still include 2 exam rooms, a behavioral health room, a waiting room, and an intake room where basic tests and triage can be performed. The deadline for their grant application is this fall, although construction on the clinic won't begin until next year.
Reported in the Cortez Journal, the Dolores Public Library is looking for a new director after a recent hire unexpectedly quit. Former director Virginia Mattingly left the library in May after just 5 months on the job. It was a shock because we liked her, but she said the job was not a good fit for her, said library board member Pat Cantor. Mattingly replaced Deborah Greenacre, who was the director for 3 years. Greenacre left to be closer to family in Michigan. Before that, Carol Arnold was the Dolores Library director for 30 years. We're looking for an innovative person who has experience and administrative skills, Cantor said. We have a very strong staff who are managing very well. Library staffers Diana Donahue and Sherry Mills are co-interim directors until a permanent director can be found. According to the job posting, candidates should have experience in library sciences and technology and be able to collaborate with local schools, businesses, and local government and have grant writing skills. Candidates should have a master's degree in library sciences with coursework in management and accounting, or a bachelor's in library sciences with significant experience. Professionals with degrees in education or experience in public service or nonprofits will also be considered. Salary ranges from $48,000 to $55,000 depending on experience. To view a job description, visit the Dolores Library website. Including the director, the library has a staff of 5, 3 of which are part-time. The library's budget is derived from a property tax mill levy that brings in about $240,000 per year. The library district is overseen by a 5-person board. The board meetings are usually held in the library meeting room on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. The next meeting is June 13th.
Reported in the Durango Herald, a statewide audit shows that millions of Colorado taxpayer dollars have been going toward film incentives for productions that fail to meet minimum qualifications. According to an audit of the Office of Film, Television, and Media presented to the Legislative Audit Committee on Monday, at least $1.9 million in incentives have been given to 9 projects that were chosen for review by the Office of the State Auditor. Of the projects audited, all either failed to meet the program's requirements or lacked documentation showing they were qualified for the incentives. The audit also showed the film office paid another $1.9 million to projects that did not have contracts in place before production began, $1.3 million of which went toward projects that had no contracts at the time of payment. Republican lawmakers have long criticized the office, saying it has produced little benefit for Colorado since it was created in 2012. GOP lawmakers this year tried to eliminate the program's funding before whittling its $3 million budget to $750,000 for the fiscal year that begins July 1st. The state auditor also found irregularities in the selection of which projects were given incentives. The audit said the film office was not able to show the economic benefits, specifically the lack of data on how many full-time equivalent jobs film incentives create. To qualify for taxpayer incentives, a Colorado-based production company must spend at least $100,000 and at least half of its workers must be state residents. Non-Colorado companies have to spend at least $1 million for film or $250,000 for commercials and other projects. The Film Office reports that between 2013 and 2016, its 31 projects created about 1,600 jobs and nearly $73 million in spending. However, the audit found it could not substantiate those figures. In 2016, the Office of Film, Television, and Media said its work had a $17.6 million economic impact, with 1,391 jobs created through the productions it paid. However, the jobs created by the film incentives are not distinguished by how long the employment lasts, so the numbers can be misleading. The audit made recommendations for operating the Film Office, including improving management of the program to ensure wise use of taxpayer money. And now, let's take a look at our weather.
Wind speeds have been increased in the forecast and will run 5 to 15 miles per hour during the day through Thursday and drop to 5 to 10 miles per hour for the nighttime hours. Today will be much the same as yesterday, with some late afternoon activity to our north and in the high country in late afternoon hours, and the same for tomorrow. Above normal temperatures will stay through tomorrow, and this ridge will be anchored here through Thursday. Then on Friday, winds will increase ahead of an approaching Pacific storm system. That low will slow over the Great Basin and arrive in our area Monday. It will provide a break in temperatures, but what else it may do is not yet defined. We're still watching for that, and can only hope that some clearer forecast information is available by tomorrow's broadcast. But I don't really expect good information on Monday's weather until late Friday or Saturday as to how it will affect DCTV country. In our national weather map for the Northeast, what the National Weather Service is calling a highly amplified upper level trough is developing and delivering very cool temperatures for early June. A low just off the mid-Atlantic coast is still leaving remnant showers and thunderstorms in the New England area that should taper off tonight. The deep south and southeast and Florida will continue to see tropical moisture until Thursday, with the eastern half of the Gulf Coast in possible flash flood conditions today. Then a low over the Carolinas will begin to push that southeast moisture out to sea. Thursday morning, the Pacific Northwest and the coast of Northern California will see significant rainfall due to the arrival of the system that's expected to give that increase in winds here Friday. Then have some effect on us here by Monday. Hot, dry, and windy means be watchful for wildfires and be fire safe. High temperatures include upper 80s through Thursday and middles for Friday and Saturday, with an upper 70s for Sunday. Lows will be low 50s until Sunday night, which will be a tad lower in the mid 40s. Winds on the increase, hot, dry, and the air conditioner is an attitude adjuster that I think is worthwhile. Now back to the news.
According to a report in the Cortez Journal, the return of Mesa Verde's pinyon juniper forest is in question. From 2000 to 2003, a series of wildfires ripped through Mesa Verde National Park, burning about 24,000 acres, nearly half of the park's old-growth forest. Now, almost 2 decades later, park managers and biologists are concerned that the pinyon juniper woodland is showing virtually no signs of growing back, posing the tough question, will Mesa Verde's iconic forest ever be the same? George San Miguel, Mesa Verde's natural resource manager, is concerned about the park's woodlands. He said, because if we lose the park forest entirely, or if we only have scattered remnants, it won't tell the same story. Mesa Verde is both a national park and a World Heritage Site, home to more than 4,300 archaeological sites of the ancestral Puebloan people, and most notably known for the 600 cliff dwellings within the park's 52,485-acre boundary. Ancestral Pueblans not only harvested wood to endure harsh winters, build structures, and make tools, they also relied heavily on the protein-rich pinyon nuts as a staple for their diet. They had art, they built cities, they did really well here for a long time, San Miguel said. And that's the story we tell, what they did to survive and thrive. In the mid to late 1990s, the invasive Ips beetle found its way into Mesa Verde and wiped out the old-growth pinyon in its path, the oldest of which ranged from 500 to 1,000 years old. Then, a severe drought in the 1990s caused perfect fire conditions, dead, dry trees. So when a lightning strike hit private property near the entrance of Mesa Verde about 1:30 p.m. July 20th, 2000, it wasn't long before a fire spread, ultimately consuming 19,607 acres within the park. Though this fire, called the Bircher Fire, consumed the greatest amount of forest, several other fires in the ensuing years, notably the Pony and Long Mesa fires, also took their toll in the park. Both were also caused by lightning strikes. Pinyon and juniper woodlands thrive in high elevation deserts, usually between 4,500 to 7,500 feet. And while the hardy plants can survive a mere 7 to 25 inches of rain a year, they are terribly ill-equipped to deal with wildfire. Even in perfect natural conditions, pinyon and junipers take a long time to grow. Pinyon, for instance, don't produce germinating seeds until they reach 75 years in age. And even then, the plants only produce seeds every 7 to 8 years, requiring non-drought conditions and proper dispersing by animals. Dry conditions and issues with more competitive gamble oak and invasive species, such as cheatgrass, seem to be retarding the regrowth. San Miguel said there are indications in the park that pinyon junipers can grow back. A 200-acre area known as the Glades that burned around 1700 or so does have a patch of young pinyon juniper trees about 200 years old. Only time will tell if new growth can make a resurgence in that particular area.
June 1st is the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season, and it runs until November 30th. This covers the North Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean Sea. The first tropical storm of 2017 was Arlene, and this has already come and gone. She developed on April 20th in the Central Atlantic. According to the National Hurricane Center, April tropical storms are rare. Arlene was only the second since the use of satellites. The first recorded was in 2003, Tropical Storm Anna. Each year, various weather organizations release their forecasted predictions for the number of storms developing and the expected severity of those storms. This year, both the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and Colorado State University hurricane forecast team have been so bold as to predict the average and above average storm activity for this year. An average Atlantic season has 12 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. NOAA is predicting 11 to 17 named storms, 5 to 9 will develop into hurricanes, and 2 to 4 intensify into major hurricanes. The CSU team predicts the season will produce 11 named storms, of which at least 4 will develop into hurricanes and 2 intensify into major hurricanes. The predictions differ slightly because of disagreement over the development of an El Nino in the eastern Pacific and sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic. NOAA says a weak or non-existent El Nino will result in near or above average sea temperatures across the tropical Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea, and average or weaker than average vertical wind shear in the same region. CSU says a weak to moderate El Nino could develop by the peak of the hurricane season, and the tropical Atlantic now is slightly cooler than normal. It's associated with a more stable atmosphere, drier air, both of which suppress organized thunderstorm activity necessary for hurricane and tropical storm development. Still sounds like more than enough to me.
Reported in the Durango Herald from CDOT, the Colorado Department of Transportation and ELAM Construction started construction Monday along Colorado Highway 145, just south of Telluride. The work will take place north of the Lizard Head Pass summit to the roundabout at Telluride. The project is designed to improve and prolong the life of the road surface, CDOT said in a news release. The project will primarily consist of resurfacing of the road using a 2-step lifting and resurfacing chip seal process. Work will be done in both the northbound and southbound lanes for about a 12-mile stretch. Work hours range from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Vehicles may be reduced to a single lane, alternating traffic intermittently in either direction throughout the duration of the project. These lane closures, guided by flaggers and pilot cars, may have 5 to 15-minute delays possible. The speed limit will be reduced to 40 miles an hour throughout the work zone. Traffic fines in the construction zone will be doubled. The project is expected to last all the way to the end of July. Travelers are urged to slow down, increase distance between vehicles, and follow work zone signs. Bicyclists and motorcyclists should be especially cautious. Hopefully that won't be a problem on Saturday, June 24th. That's the date for the Pick and Hoe Poker Run that starts at the Dove Creek Sinclair at 8 a.m. with coffee and donuts. And for $25, you're entered in the Poker Run, collecting 5 cards drawn along the scenic drive that runs up through Rico to Placerville, Norwood, and back down through Disappointment to end at the State Line Bar and Grill. Cars, trucks, rat rods, or motorcycles are all welcome. Half of the funding goes to royalty candidate Gabby Beanland fundraising, and the other is distributed to the winning hands. Live music by Vanishing Breed will start at 5 p.m. at the State Line. This is also supported by Thompson Trucking and the Dove Creek Chamber of Commerce.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of May 29th through June 4th. A resident reported a strong gas smell in the county. Atmos was contacted and they determined a valve needed to be replaced. A resident requested assistance with a civil issue involving a breach of a child custody arrangement. The caller was referred to the courts. A deputy responded to a family disturbance in the county. A member agreed to leave the residence in order to maintain peace, and a courtesy ride was provided by the officer. A black and white collie was reported found by Animal Control. If anyone has a missing dog that may match that description, please contact the Animal Control Office or the Sheriff's Office. That's it for this week's Roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates.
And here's today's High Canyon Country happenings. Harvey Leake, great-grandson of John Wetherill, will discuss the activities of his ancestors and their archaeological investigations in the area on June 16th at 7 p.m. at the Visitor and Research Center at Mesa Verde National Park. This program is part of the 2017 Four Corners Lecture Series and is free and open to the public. Over a span of many decades, the Wetherill brothers and some of their descendants worked to uncover and preserve the prehistory of the Four Corners region. The Wetherill family of Mancos, Colorado, played a significant role in the development of Mesa Verde National Park and also is the early archaeology of the Four Corners area. Leake will share historic family photographs that illustrate their involvement at Mesa Verde and elsewhere, their motivation, and the cultural environment they dealt with. For a list of other programs in the series, go to mesaverde.org for lecture-series. And on Thursday, June 8th, the Sunflower Theater is showing a documentary film called Beyond Standing Rock. This is a 2017 doc that shines a spotlight on the Dakota Access Pipeline protest and struggle for Native American rights against the backdrop of a new Trump administration. It showcases the pipeline issue along with the Southern Ute Reservation and Bears Ears National Monument concerns. Free admission is offered, but a suggested $5 donation is welcome. And in a different direction, at the Ute Mountain Casino, MAV.TV King of the Cage Warlords 2 match will be held Saturday, June 10th. Doors open at 6 p.m., fights start at 7. Kevin Worth versus Cristobal Chavez is the headliner. Tickets are available online or at the casino. Call 800-258-8007 or go online to kingofthecage.com. And if you missed any of those details, don't worry. All of the happenings are listed on the DCTV Facebook page online. If you have news or event information you'd like us to share, send us an email, dcbnnews@gmail.com, or call us here at the station, the number 677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday and rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order.
And please check us out on Facebook, DCTV News at Noon. Like us there, join the local conversation, and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook and everyone at DCTV with News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, I'm Jerry Tope. Thanks for watching.